Let me just pull this up and get us rolling. Cool. All right, so welcome to the Game Night Show, where we help change makers change their game and everyone wins. I am Jean Berry. I'm a creative explorer and your Game Night Show host. I would love to introduce you to my game maker team and panelists on the show today. Astrid Mueller, the brand magic maker and official Sparkle Girl. You want to say hi, Astrid?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Jean.
Beautiful. And Kavita Singh, our official magic catcher with business x-ray goggles that allow her to see the things, where things are going, and how to maximize impact. Say hi, Kavita.
Hey, everybody.
Cool. So tonight...
Amazing. Wait,
yes.
Do we need to introduce Jean?
Oh,
Jean,
well, I introduced myself.
You need to have the same kudos, Jean. So welcome, everybody, to Jean Berry, who's a queen of creating games and absolutely magically channels games for change makers so they can change the world in a bigger way.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And tonight, we are featuring fun and games outside of work. And, you know, work sometimes in our world is not really a word we use, right? We usually use play. But to distinguish it between work and maybe outside of work, right? When you're not doing things for clients or running your business or those kind of things. And, of course, I thought this was kind of funny when I first put it out there because most people think of fun and games outside of work. That's where they go first, right? And so today we're going to look at the mechanics of games, why they're engaging, and then apply that back to our businesses. And so I'm excited about having that conversation. But before we start that conversation, I'd like to start out with a game I like to call Color This Show. And we like to have a little magic in every show and the potential, of course, of totally looking like fools. And so how this works is one of our panelists or guests will shout out a color. I have a little guide here that says what the colors mean, and that's what we do based upon the color that you shout out. So, is there someone who would like to shout out a color? Or, what do you think? Any brave soul? Burgundy, cool. The cross between kind of red and a deeper red or almost blue, right? We have kind of this burgundy color. So let me see what I got here for burgundy. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Okay, along with burgundy, I also need a number somewhere between 1 and 153.
That's hilarious.
66. Cool. All right. So
Nice.
the prompt today was to go to the book of the day, which the book of the day today was Art from Intuition. And so I'm going to turn to page 66 and find out what it is that we are doing that's magic.
Yes, and while you do that, Jean, I want to welcome more joiners in our live room here. Louis just joined us, also from Canada, and Sarosh. With your partner, you're also calling in from Canada. We're so excited to have you guys live with us. Yay!
Cool. Canadians in the house. Wow. Okay, so this... For all of the artists out there, this page on page 66 is talking about collagraphs. I have never even heard of a collagraph before. So a collagraph is a relief printing technique. And it's used by using low relief textured materials like paper, string, fabrics, or sand on a cardboard backing with like white glue. And then you make things out of that based upon the collagraph. So here's the picture of what you make out of things that are collagraphed items. And so they show, you know, cutting apart like cardboard and feathers and things like that, and then gluing them onto things and then dipping them in ink and making things out of them. So I'm kind of feeling compelled to look at this kind of interesting drawing here. I'm going to get a close-up on it here. I'm going to switch cameras here for a second.
Yay! We have another joiner. Alice Lauder's just joining. Who's,
excellent.
by the way, an amazing rapper.
Cool.
Oh,
so I'm going to first go over here on the live stream. So for the people looking on live stream, they'll see it on the other camera. And then I'm going to show it to you guys who are on Zoom. And so there's this interesting picture that's kind of purple and black. And so because often we'll do intuitive drawings and that kind of thing, we're going to see if our panelists can come up with some meaning out of this abstract drawing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shift it back here. I know, she's like, what?
Oh, yeah, what are we doing? This is all totally on the spot, by the way, guys. Like, this is how we roll.
Okay, cool. Hang on. I'm adding panelists back on. Okay, so this is for Astrid and Kavita. And so here's the drawings.
Which one are we looking at? All of them?
They're kind of together. Yeah, they kind of go together. And so you can pick one if you want. I think just one. Let's pick the one that looks kind of like a tornado in the bottom corner.
Oh, I was going to go for another one.
Okay.
That's cool. I was actually going to go for the one like in the middle on the right side there, the black and white one.
Okay.
And I'm seeing a lot of metaphors in there for life, and also that affects business as well. It's kind of like the dark side and the light side, and the puzzle pieces and making sense of everything. So you need both. You need both the challenges and the lightness, so you can expand what the lightness means for you. And it also is important to put together the puzzle pieces as a whole, that you have the clarity, so you can actually move forward. Because if you just like look at them individually, then you don't have the big picture, and you may get lost in the puzzle pieces. So yeah, that's what I'm getting so far.
Cool.
What are you getting, Kavita?
For the one that you mentioned, Astrid, I'm seeing that the contrast is important. I mean, the darkness defines the light. If not, everything would be white and you wouldn't see anything, right? So in that sense, it's also important. And that's why like containers and spaces and programs and whatever you're doing in your business is super important. Like you assign it a time and a space and a date, and you create that container, and then whatever light needs to happen in that space happens. And then you can step out of that, So that's what I'm getting for that one. And it's also interesting that you saw the volcano one, Jean, because for that, it feels like a reflection of your passion, your fuel, the fire, your drive, what brings you to show up every day and to create these containers. So
nice.
Cool.
That's what I got.
Well, that was a new task for today, looking in the book of the day. So thank you for that, Sharash, for choosing something totally random. We've never done that one before. And I would love to welcome the guests who have joined us live on our Zoom call. I would love for you to introduce yourselves as the live guinea pigs of our experimental game tonight. So welcome. I would love if you want to just unmute yourselves, say who you are and where you're from. Beautiful. Thanks. Welcome, Lois. So glad you're here. Ooh, the Canadians are in the house. Thank you for coming.
Awesome. Did you guys did you want them to speak, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Who goes first? So I'm like waiting. I'm like, did I miss a chat? No. Who wants to go first to say hi?
Well,
Lois, just unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Lois already said hi. They already said hi, Astrid.
Oh, that's enough. Oh, for some reason I was waiting for like a big, this is the magic we do, and this is like, sorry, I just kind of totally went over my head.
It's all right. We're good. We're good. Cool. All right. Hang on. Let me just shift over here again. This is a lot of moving parts.
Yes. We're stretching our comfort zone, which is also part of playing games, right?
Exactly.
Like learning something new every time, up-leveling every time. So today we're up-leveling our technology. and playing a bigger game. So
it is very true. And so today I really wanted to look at games, like and what the mechanics of those games are. And I think it's really exciting to look at some of the games that that we play outside of maybe even what we would consider transformation, which is a lot of the games that we create and that type of thing. And so I want to share a couple of games, and I'm going to share them a couple of ways. On our live stream, you'll see them on the screen. And I'm going to just turn off these ones. And then switch to here. Okay, so I have some games that I pulled out of my cupboard. And the first one is this game called Kingdoms. And Kingdoms, I'm going to switch it over here to this camera. Now, can you see this on the Zoom? Are you seeing the? Okay, cool. I can't see that screen right now. And Kingdoms is actually an interesting game, and it's a strategy game. And so it has a board inside. I'm going to open up the game here. Has anyone ever played Kingdoms? Anyone here ever played it?
no.
And it's got a board, and it's got tokens that kind of represent the money, and it's got these cool little tiles that have creepy looking people on them. And then it has, here I'll show you some of the tiles. And then it's got little plastic tokens as well. And these tiles are actually really cool. They're really heavyweight tiles that have interesting things on there. And this is a strategy game. And I think what's interesting about a game like this, although it has a lot of moving parts, it's actually very strategic about where you place things on the board and that kind of thing. Now, are any of you guys strategy game players? Do you like to play strategy games? Like chess or... he's just like, no. Oh, even... yeah, we don't usually...
Like 2 moves and then my brain gets cramps. I can't think too far.
Well, and it's interesting. We don't tend to talk to a lot of people like strategy, but most people grew up playing like Monopoly. Have any of you ever played Monopoly? Yes, maybe. A couple of you played Monopoly before. Yeah. And Monopoly is one of those really interesting games, and because it was the one that was really available when we were kids, right? It was the one that everyone played. And so it's this whole, oh, you're going to ask me for a YouTube link now?
Don't worry. I wanted to share that we're streaming on YouTube and where people can find the show. And also we want to share the show live. So that's why I was kind of curious. But it's no rush. I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry.
It is listed on the event in Facebook. So if you're in Facebook, you can go find it. And then you can find it there on YouTube. Yes.
Thanks.
What were we talking about? Oh, Monopoly.
Yes.
I really love some parts of strategy games, but I think the reason that people got excited about Monopoly is, first of all, it was one of the games that was really available and was kind of complicated. There were a lot of pieces, and when you mastered it as a kid, you kind of felt like you figured something out. And the way most people learned it was by someone else teaching them how to play it. No kid actually would open and read those dang instructions, right? And they go figure it out. I've had some games like that had instructions that were so obtuse that it was nearly impossible and unplayable. And so that will be our whole talk about strategy games, because I find in general the people who like to talk about games and everything aren't as hot into strategy games unless they love like Risk or some of those ones that have little moving people or parts on them that make them a little more fun. There's 2 other games I want to talk about, and then we're actually going to play one, which is kind of a fun game because it's really different, and we're going to try to see how we can all play it together. It's going to be interesting. And I'm going to play all the parts for you. The next one is this game called Forbidden Island. Has anyone played Forbidden Island? Nope. So this is actually one of my favorite games. And Forbidden Island is a cooperative game. And so it is a game unlike the games kind of that we grew up with, which were, you know, you're going to play to win against someone else. This game is played where everyone wins or loses together. And it's a really fun and exciting game. Here it is, Forbidden Island.
So cool.
And it has inside of it tiles. And the tiles lay out as a game board. And then, and so that means the game board changes every time you play it because you shuffle them and lay them out. And it's a really fun, interactive game because you would think that you would need to, have like a leader, right? So one person who's saying, this is how it's going to roll. And yet what happens is everyone has their turn, yet you talk about what you're going to do in between. So this is like a really cool game for people who really just wanted to get together with their friends. And then they'd play the game at the same time. And so has anyone ever played a cooperative game or any games like that?
I don't think so. You know what, Jean? I'm getting so excited already. Like when you, because we're tying it to business, right? Like there's going to be some magical links. So I just want to get the heads up to all the viewers. I'm like, why are they just talking about games? How does this even relate? And there's total connection, and we will tie it together. And I'm already seeing something in this that you're sharing, like types of leadership and practicing what kind of leadership you have, and getting out of your hardwired brain into the creativity to make bigger things happen, and practice that side of the brain, which most people don't typically do in normal business context, right? Yeah, I don't want to take it all away. Go ahead, Jean.
Beautiful. You got a serious echo going, Astrid. So
sorry.
It's right. Okay. Woo! Makes it exciting. All right, cool. I want to mention this game. We're not going to play this one, but has anyone ever played this game called Farkle? Farkle, maybe. So Farkle is a... Kavita, have you never played this? See, your kids would like to play this game. This is a really simple game. It's played with dice. You roll them, and it is 100% chance. But when you roll something that busts the bank, basically, you have to yell Farkle, or I farkled, which makes all the kids giggle, right? And it makes adults giggle. We like to giggle about things, right? And so it makes it really funny because, and so it's just that you take your turn, you add things, you take risks. If you think you can score more, you roll more, or you can lose everything. And so this is the ultimate total chance game. And then it also assesses how much risk you're willing to take, which is a really interesting component of games. How much risk are you willing to take based upon the chances of probability that might show up, which is kind of exciting. And so these kind of games are really the ones that are more like winning the lottery, right? You're going to figure out, can I win the lottery today? Let's roll the dice. Let's go buy a lottery ticket. And that's why those kind of games work. And then the final game I want to talk about is this one. Now, this happens to be the Batman version because I have funny kids that buy me these.
I love it.
But it's called Fluxx, and there's actually about 100 different versions of Fluxx. Has anyone ever played Fluxx before? Okay, so this is the one I'm actually going to open. Fluxx is a really funny game in terms of how you play with a bunch of people. And so I'm going to, maybe we're not going to play, but the goal of Fluxx is to win. And the way you win changes every single time you play. And so thus it's called flux. And so the rules show up. You will draw cards and you just get a new rule every time you play. And if you play a rule, then it changes the whole game. And rules can make it so you might get a goal that you're going to get this card, and that's your goal. But if someone changes the rules, that can no longer win, and you'll have to discard your goal. And so it's a very funny game because my husband hates it. My husband thinks because there's no predictability to it at all, and it can look like you're losing, and then all of a sudden you can win. And so, let me see how we can. I don't know if I thought this through really significantly of how we can all play a card game together, because my camera is attached to the YouTube live stream and not to the Facebook group.
Well, you can always show the cards on the screen. Just hold it up.
Okay.
Like we usually do, right?
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can make this
We'll do
go.
both.
Well, because the challenge is that because then I'd have to play both sides. I'd have to hold up your cards for you.
Oh, funny.
Because it's a card game. And so I think we're going to talk about card games today. You guys are so patient and fun today. Like, how are we going to play this one together? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to, next time we'll call my husband up here and we'll play a game. Not this one, though, because he hates Flux. We'll pick a new game. Well, so with that being said, I feel compelled to actually play a game with you guys because I know that you're here and I want to play a game with you that you can play with me. I know. I feel like I hate to do a teaser. I know. I don't want to do a teaser and then not have you be able to play with me. So, hang on. Grab me on there. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to make Astrid play with me today.
All right.
And then anyone else who wants to play along can play. We're going to play this game. Soul Adventure game.
Oh, nice.
Because this is a really fun game.
Yes.
And it gives you real shifts in your world.
Yes. And it's one of Jean's clients who got that game with her help. And
yep.
Yeah, we
and we're actually we're actually featuring this game next week. And so if you come back, you will meet the inventor of this game, and you'll get to see all the insides outs. But we'll just do a real simple play today. This is the first deck. There are 3 decks of cards. It's the Compass deck. Astrid, you let me know when we're at the card that's for you.
Okay, stop.
Ooh. I am confidence.
Ooh. Okay.
I achieve what I choose to focus on with ease. I am confident. So if you all want to write down just confidence, if you have a piece of paper.
I don't. I'll write it in my forehead.
Well, I'll remember for you. Okay, and then this is the chakra cards. Mm-hmm. So I'll shuffle those again.
Stop.
Higher self me, chakra 7.
Oh, cool.
And this is the adventure card.
Ooh.
Shuffling.
I like the name of those cards. Stop.
Expanding. Of course you are. Okay. So the next thing we do is we actually take this little journal card and we're going to fill out what we got. And then I'm going to speak your sentence. So everyone who's here, I want you all to play along. I'm going to speak this sentence. It is the beginning of a sentence that your brain cannot finish. And so you're just going to listen to your higher self for the end of this sentence. Whatever pops in your head is the right thing. You cannot do it wrong. Okay, here we go. I am confidence with my higher self me. Therefore, I am expanding. I am confidence in my higher self me. Therefore, I'm expanding.
I'm going to give a second of space for everybody to get something. I already got mine.
All right, what do you got?
Cool. Doing things without knowing.
Ooh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, in theory. and sweet. All of that.
Excellent. So now I'd like you to focus on that confidence card. And I want you to become confident. So as you becoming knowing what you're doing, like, whew, that's a cool place to stand, is now as you become confidence, it will live somewhere in your body. And we're just going to grow it. We're going to grow where confidence lives. And we're going to fill your whole body and your head and your arms and your fingers, your confidence in your hips and your knees and your feet and toes. You are confidence everywhere. And from that space, that feels good. Yeah, I know. From that space, then ask, what are your key actions for today?
I don't know if I can say that. Of course, we're saying everything, right? Take the plunge and get my divorce paperwork.
Okay, sometimes
actually
that's what shows up.
So.
Of course. Sometimes it's, even inside of our businesses, sometimes what shows up is personal care or personal things or, because it's all us. This is all there is just us. So beautiful. Yeah. Excellent. If you want to share what you got and you're watching here, or you want to give some feedback or what showed up for you in that little exercise, that would be cool. Very fun. So that's the Soul Adventure game. We'll be actually playing that in depth next week with the inventor, and she will share with her insights on what all those things mean and some of the deeper meanings of the chakras and all those kind of things. So that's going to be very cool.
So Sarosh just unmuted herself. I think you got a message for us. What did you get? Oop, I can't hear you for some reason. No, now we got you.
Sleep, snore, and what?
Enjoy blanket.
Love it. That's really awesome.
What did you say?
Sleep, snore, and enjoy the blanket.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What a cool thing to get from confidence. And I love how it showed that everybody gets their own intuitive answers. So beautiful.
Beautiful. Yep. So let's just have a little conversation here about, I'm going to add Kavita onto this screen here too, about some of these mechanics now, because as we talked about some of the games that people love. Now, before we dive into that though, I want to know from Kavita and Astrid, what were your favorite childhood games?
Does it have to be like actual games or just what we like to play?
Well, I don't know. What did you play?
Go ahead, Kavita.
Mine was I don't know what's the correct name, but it was pick up sticks or something like that. When you had to really have the patience to pick it up without making the other sticks fall or touch them. So
Mikado.
Okay. Yeah, so that was one I enjoyed, and I actually did it at the local library with the other kids. So it made it really really fun because you had no idea who you'd be playing with, and yeah,
that's cool. The first thing I thought of was making up my own games and make believe sort of enactments, kind of Pippi Longstocking style. I think that was my favorite thing. And in terms of actual games, the having the rubber bands and stringing them and then hopping and making patterns with them. I don't know what you call that in America. I'm sure you guys do the same. Yeah.
I don't know that game, but I'm sure we'll find it.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, but you have usually two people, and then you take rubber band and you put it around your legs. And then a third person jumps in, and you take with the feet. You take and make patterns. You take the rubber band, and you jump over, you cross it, and step on it, kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. So I hear you both saying, though, that you liked games with other people. Mm-hmm. And then, Astrid, you really like the imagination ones, like things that allowed you to imagine like other worlds or new places or future lives or whatever shows up in that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and we talked about some. Well, and actually, my favorite game was a game called Trouble, and the reason I really liked it was because it had a little bouncer in the middle that bounced, that when you pushed it, it made this sound that went click, click, and then it bounced the dice around. And so instead of you just rolling the dice, it had a little, clicker thing, which made it fun. And I'm sure it made our parents crazy because it made this noise. And so
Oh my gosh.
but I really loved that tactile, and then moving around the board and all those kind of things. That was my favorite game as a child. But so some of those things aren't necessarily in traditional games, like board games or things like that, right? And sometimes we have those mechanics. So we talked about a few mechanics. We talked about strategy. And so let's talk about how strategy then comes into business. This one's really obvious, right? And it's the place most people go in their business, is straight to strategy. Mm-hmm. And yet, for a lot of heart-centered people, it doesn't work for them. They're like, well, I don't want to do strategy. That's not a fun, happy place for me to hang out. Yet there are people who love those strategy games, right?
You know what comes to me when you say that, Jean? I find the first thing I think of, what I used to do before I used my intuition more, was like taking up other people's strategy and trying to put it on my head, like as a hat. And that just didn't work. It was like too constricting, I guess. So fusing creativity with strategy, that started then to work.
Yeah, so how could we make that fun? By making little maybe pieces or little tiles, actual things, right? That are, what if we made the strategy in our business and we had little coins to measure things by, right? Mm-hmm. We had, how fun would that be to actually shift up how we do strategy in our business? And so if you were a financial planner, say, and you're like, okay, I need to teach how I do financial planning. What if you added a playful component, like coins or movements, yes, or even a game board to keep track?
Yes.
That would be a way more fun way to do strategy for me, right?
For sure. I've been to events like that where as soon as they brought in things, like even if it was like a little sticker or something, you get rewarded. If you post something back there, you get a sticker, or you can give somebody a sticker when they did something. And it's like with grown-ups. But that got so much more engagement right away, and it lifted the energy of the whole space. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's fun. I like stickers. Cool. So the next game we talked about, though, was a collaborative game. We talked about that game Forbidden Island, that you collaborate with everyone and everyone wins or loses together. How does that show up in how we run our businesses?
Oh my gosh. I totally got something, but Kavita, did you want to go first? No, I'm firsting.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just go. Well, for me, it's just basically like, this is how I run the business, and like you both, Kavita and Eugene, you're in my collaborative team, strategy team. Like we do it with masterminds and with doing things together, and with not believing in competition, but just co-creating. On the go, and always feeling into what feels right, what could be the next easy action step. So we're living that. I'm like, you're asking that. I love it.
So I would like to ask, like, the people who are here live with us or who are watching this afterwards, I'm curious, how do you use collaboration like a game in your business, or how could you use collaboration as a strategy in your business to cause more fun or engagement? Like, what comes up for you in this game kind of space?
Okay, you guys can unmute yourself if you got anything, or type in the chat, or if you're watching the replay of this, you can also tag us. Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So the question is, how could you in a new way use collaboration as a structure or a a new way inside of your business? Like, what could you do to create collaboration as an interactive strategy?
I was thinking collaboration, an antidote to shame, which is isolating. So, a game that I'm thinking of playing around with is to meet your inner critic. And those inner critics, they, like the primary mode in which they work is these shameful aspects of ourselves. So in the game, if the game's collaborative, it breaks down isolation. That's how the game works. And maybe even the rewards of the game, like if you get, special cards or whatever, maybe you get if you're playing it in a group, you get permission slips for support, for getting support from the people that you're playing it with. Or maybe people get as a reward, a chance to offer support too, because that's a gift as well. So yeah, just some thoughts that are.
That's really powerful. That's
Can
really
you repeat
powerful.
that, Jean, so
And
we
yes,
can hear it in the recording for
of course.
Skype? And also, I didn't hear it.
Yeah. So, so what Sarash was sharing is that what lives in isolation is shame, and by putting that out there in collaboration, that it would break down what happens inside of those kind of shameful conversations or things that we just hold on to, right? And then adding to that, saying how could we then add rewards, maybe permission slips from the other players
Nice.
to share
Wow.
or that kind of thing, and create that kind of collaboration, even around a topic that is really hard. Like that can be a really deep topic, and yet you could add some fun and levity around it that allows people to step out of it in a way in community. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love the word permission slips for that. It instantly feels really light and sweet. Kind of cute. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Sarosh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Sarosh.
I got when you were talking, Jean, I got the idea of ping pong that recently came to me so much in terms of making collaboration a game. It's just like taking an idea and basically saying, "Hey, ping pong, here, it's your turn. Now you shoot an idea back," and playing that way. I've done that a bunch of times. That's always been fun.
That is good. You know, kind of the bouncing the ball back to someone else. And
Yeah.
that collaboration, that there needs to be someone there to catch it, right?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I love that. And clearly, you know, for us, collaboration is one of our main engagement pieces. Like that's something that's important for us as a mechanic in our games. We really like that piece of how we create collaboration around that. Cool. All right. So then we talked about actually randomness as a mechanic of games. And we also talked about chance. Do we need to talk about those separately or together?
Oh, how do you define the difference? Randomness and chance. That's almost the same for me.
Okay, so randomness is that you don't know what's going to happen next.
Okay.
And chance is risk. Like you could stop now and be safe, or you could move forward and take a risk.
All right.
And take a chance.
Cool.
So how can we then bring those kind of randomness? And I think this is that kind of fun, goofy part that we think of as the most childlike, right? The randomness is what's most childlike about games. Because kids will just, jump in and add a new rule, right? Said, nope, new rules today. And so how can we incorporate, or how does randomness become an important part then as a business mechanic?
Can I go?
Yes.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
For me, it means the ability to be flexible and adaptable. So, because you're looking at it from a place of curiosity and fun and all of that, there's no risk, so to speak, even though it's unknown and even though it's random, because it's fun and it's light, and it's the ability to enjoy from like the childlike wonder of whatever comes up, right? Whereas when you talk about taking a chance and the risk involved, for me, it requires discernment of knowing when to go and when to stop, and it's a different energy. It's subtle, and the other one is more proactive, and the first one is more engaging. So that's the way I see it.
That's cool.
That's interesting. So let's take that then into a business situation, right? Especially in working with clients or that kind of thing. What can we do that would have them feel that kind of wonder of chance?
Well, I think you had a really great example recently in one of our other show segments where you brought in this chance game of like winning a bonus, and you have to pick a color or something, and then you basically won the lottery, whatever you picked. So and that turned out this really cool example in a sales conversation where then people can just pick that, and then they get a different bonus. And so then suddenly it's not a sales conversation anymore, but like a surprise play session kind of thing where you always win anyway. I thought that was a really great example. And and we also play with that, Kavita and I, in our client coaching sessions, where we use language that is fun and playful, like make a magic wand wish and that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be like share your biggest challenge. It's like already a different energy.
Yeah, that is interesting. Even the levity behind the words you use that make it feel more like a chance or like a possibility. That you could win, right? The chance that you could win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have anything that they want to about chance or randomness? I kind of love the random piece. Lois, you have something to add? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, teaching art classes, intuitive art classes, and especially with the kids, there's a lot of randomness going on all the time, and it's just about going with the flow and letting them, helping them to be honestly confident about their choices, and that they can choose. And the funny thing is, we do this Picasso game. When we talk about games, is they roll the dice and they have to take a certain nose, right, for their portrait, and then they roll it again, and then they have to pick an ear, and then they so the nose are to the different things, and they always kind of go, oh, I don't know, and they all turn out really awesome and fun, but it is a fun game, and it's totally, you just don't know what it's going to turn out to be or which number. You can't pre-plan your art project.
Right.
It develops as you're going along. So
that's really cool. And what I love about that and applying it to intuitive art, especially with kids, you see it happening all the time. That's really beautiful. And I can see for people who are watching saying, well, I don't work with kids, or that's art, right? That's art. That's over here. Yet then bringing it back to coaching, right? What does it look like for coaching inside of a business, or life coaching, or business coaching, or health coaching, or any of those things? It's actually the exact same thing what Lois said.
Yeah, and actually
in a few weeks, and I've decided to do something similar in that I'm going to pre-cut all these different colored pieces, but they'll end up being an elephant or a something, but they don't know what it's going to be, and they can only choose one from each bucket, and then they sort of have to put the puzzle pieces together, and then we'll do the art project, right? Doing the canvas. So, and that'll be just lots of fun, and I don't know how it's going to work, but I trust that it will.
Well, and that kind of calls up then also the element, which is kind of related to this, which is the element of surprise. and being surprised and delighted, right? And being able to use those kind of mechanics, right, inside of our business. How do you surprise and delight your clients so that they stay engaged?
I just had an inspiration too, that what you just shared with your art teachings, the randomness there, that can apply to anything. It's like, for example, if you take somebody wants to figure out what kind of marketing strategy they can use, right? They could be a game with like these different options, like personal outreach, I don't know, put an ad on Facebook or whatever, and you could have all these random factors, and then roll a dice or pick a card or whatever and see what happens, and then see what it inspires you to. That you can turn anything into a game, and how much fun would that be to see like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then, or then you find that what doesn't work or whatever, but it loosens it up and instantly makes it lighter. That's
cool. That is really cool. And finally, the last mechanic we talked about was introspection, or taking a moment to just stop and pause and make a decision. Now, those can actually happen inside of even strategy games, where you ask people to pause and consider, what's my next step? What's the next thing I should do? And what are the implications of that? And so in a lot of ways, it's a lot like a strategy pause, and yet it's a meaningful pause inside of the mechanics of your game, the game called your business, right? Which is a really beautiful thing to use both for yourself and with your clients. And even if you're not a coach or anything else, how can you use pause and introspection to create more engagement and actually more fun or meaningfulness inside of your business?
Nice. That's a magic gem right there. Kavita, do you want to take that? That's like right up your alley.
For me, introspection, again, comes back with how you perceive information. So, for instance, for me, if something is true, it feels very transparent in my body. As I think about it, as I hear it, that's how I know. And of course, everybody's radar is different. And so that introspection is an important aspect before you could move forward, right? So is this true for me, or is this true for whatever's being said on the table? And when it isn't, it feels dense or heavy. And then if I'm on a call, for instance, with Astrid, she see me making faces, right? Of being, there's something that's a bit off there, right? And then we get to explore what that is. So, yeah, introspection is, I think, one of the biggest tools in the whole process.
Yeah, I got a piece too that I absolutely have to share. It's like the element of pause, the magic that it's been doing for me. And especially in the last few days, I actually had that a bunch of times where I literally gave myself permission to pause and to not think about something. I basically made my wish, and then I savored the moment and where I was. Like, for example, I was eating dinner and really savoring the wine and the food and just being there. I was in this amazing space. And then suddenly I got this amazing inspiration for our next business that I actually got off. Like, I got it online while I was tipsy and just making it happen real quick. And yeah, so there's this allowing space and pause for ideas and for surprises. It comes up for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes that can be a question, right? Asking a powerful question, or asking how that feels or lands, or kind of like Avita said, how does that sit in your body? Where do you feel that? And then pausing and saying, how does that work? So I would love to know from any of our viewers or live people here today, how can you use pause more effectively inside of your business?
Well, I use pause a lot, being in the intuitive and with the psychic art and also with coaching, channeling the messages as they're coming through. So I pause a lot to really, am I hearing the message? So when I relate it to when I'm making choices about my business, it's almost like sort of just a natural thing for me because I use it so much in my art. And so I'll take a moment to either, and sometimes you have to move physically to pause, right? So that when you're making the choice, you're not making the choice from a place of, I always tell people, don't make a choice of a place of heaviness, or, wait till it feels light. And then, or when you're not in the moment. So even when you meditate and then you walk away and then listen. So you're pausing to hear the messages, because you may not hear them in meditation. So you're pausing throughout the day to
Nice.
I like it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really
Thank you,
beautiful.
Lois. Yeah, I love that you brought intuition as such an important element. It's, so huge.
Beautiful. So we've talked about strategy as a mechanic. We have talked about collaboration as a mechanic. We have talked about randomness and chance. We have talked about the pause. And actually, I didn't mention it, but when I talked about this game, Farkle, we talked a little bit about silliness.
Yes.
The unexpected, right? And that's a little bit of the surprise piece as well. And so all those mechanics are what can make a really great game. Now, they don't all need to be in one game. So you need to look at the goals of how your business is moving forward, and then what it needs, right? What does your business need for engagement, for fun, for deeper transformation, for all of those things, for people to really get what you want them to get out of that game. Those kind of mechanics really make the things go. Anything else you want to add about mechanics, either of you? It's kind of a funny word.
Well, I'll say something real quick, and then you can go, Kavita. The question that you just asked is so powerful, and you ask it in terms of the clients and other people, but I feel like we can ask ourselves too, well, which of those mechanics light us up and get us excited? What's important to us? And then giving ourselves permission to drop the ones that don't and mix them up in a way that feels really good. Yeah. Go ahead, Kavita.
I agree with you, Astrid. For me, it's always about doing the one that feels right or aligned in the moment, because the way I see it, it creates these invisible channels that gets amazing results where your logical mind cannot even perceive. So it's always good to recognize the alignment or the nudge to do something, and it opens even more possibilities.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for our live players today and introspection. This was a little bit different game night where we weren't playing a lot of games, but just talking about a lot of games and how they apply to your business. And so I so appreciate you for coming. For those of you who have watched on the live stream or are watching this later, I'd love to hear from you what kind of things and what kind of games or mechanics that you would like to add to your business to add more engagement. That would be beautiful. And I would love to share with you how you can play with us more if you would like to do that. Astrid, Kavita, and I have a Facebook group called the Zap Adventure Club, and we will put the links here. And you're certainly welcome to join us. It is a free club that really, truly allows you to get into the zen of your world, activate through play, and then get into productivity. So powerful, fabulous group where you will find support to celebrate your wins and make some things happen in the most easy and fun way possible.
Yes. Yeah.
And secondly, if you are interested in a custom game for your business and you're kind of curious what that looked like, you can always book onto my calendar and we can have a conversation about that as well. So happy you're here. Of course, this is the Game Night Show, and this is where we help change makers change their game, and everyone wins. So glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us for this hour of games. And
Thank you.
We will see you all next week, where we will be featuring Lori Appleby's game, The Soul Adventure, and that's going to be a fun time. So see you all next week.
Yay. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, cool.